We might be watching the slow-motion dismantling of the Bears' coaching staff right before our eyes, and honestly, it is terrifying. Two key figures are being courted by rival teams, and if they leave, the consequences for next season could be catastrophic. We need to talk about whether the front office can stop the bleeding before it's too late. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Look, we have to have a serious conversation today because the rumors are flying, and where there is smoke, there is usually a roaring fire. We are looking at potential departures that could fundamentally change the DNA of this team heading into the offseason. But before we dive into the chaos, do me a huge favor. We are pushing hard for our next subscriber milestone, and we cannot get there without you. If you want non-stop, unfiltered updates throughout this crucial offseason, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share this video. Let's build this community together. Let's rip the band-aid off and start with the offensive side of the ball. The Philadelphia Eagles are circling, and they have their sights set squarely on our offensive coordinator, Declan Doyle. Now, we knew this was a possibility. When you have success, people come for your coaches. It is the nature of the beast in the NFL. But the reality of it hitting the news cycle this week makes it feel very real, very fast. We learned just a couple of days ago that Philadelphia formally requested to interview Doyle for their offensive coordinator vacancy. Now, here is the interesting wrinkle. Technically, since Doyle is already an offensive coordinator here in Chicago, the Bears organization could have blocked this interview. They could have said, "No, he is under contract, hands off." But they didn't. And if you have been paying attention to the philosophy of our head coach and the culture they are building, this shouldn't surprise you. We have heard it time and time again. This staff wants their coaches to ascend. They want to be a factory for future head coaches and play callers. Blocking a guy from a potential promotion, even a perceived lateral one, is a quick way to destroy morale. And make no mistake, this is a promotion in terms of responsibility. In Chicago, Doyle doesn't call the plays. In Philadelphia, if he takes that job, he would likely be the guy holding the play sheet on Sundays. That is the springboard he needs if he ever wants to be a head coach in this league. Jeremy Fowler over at ESPN confirmed the report, noting that while Philly's search has been all over the map, Doyle is a legitimate name to watch. The fact that Chicago didn't block the request signals they are willing to let him walk if he chooses to. But here is the million-dollar question, should he choose to? You have to ask yourself, is jumping into the Philadelphia pressure cooker really a smart career move for a 30-year-old coach, or is it a golden ticket to getting fired in 12 months? Let's look at this from Declan Doyle's perspective for a second. He is turning 30 years old. He is incredibly young in this business. He has a long, promising career ahead of him. Does he really want his first shot at full play-calling duties to be in a market that eats its own? Philadelphia is not a place for patience. It is a win now or get out environment. We have seen it happen repeatedly. They cycle through coordinators like they are changing socks. Look at Brian Johnson, fired after 1 year. Look at Kevin Patullo, one of Nick Sirianni's closest allies, fired abruptly because things got stale. If Doyle goes there, he isn't walking into a stable situation. He is walking into a burning building where he is expected to put out the fire on day one. If I am Declan Doyle, I am walking into that interview with a notebook full of questions. I am interviewing them just as hard as they are interviewing me. The first thing I am asking: what is the status of A.J. Brown? Are they keeping him? Are they trading him? Because if I am going to stake my reputation on this offense, I need to know if I have my Ferrari on the outside. Then you have to look at the quarterback situation. How does Doyle feel about Jalen Hurts? This is the pivot point of the entire decision. We know Hurts has talent, but we also know he has limitations. He doesn't throw over the middle consistently. He hasn't shown he can execute a complex under-center play-action game at a high level, which is exactly the kind of offense Doyle has been running here under the Ben Johnson and Sean Payton coaching trees. Can Doyle adapt his scheme to fit Hurts? Or more importantly, can Hurts adapt to run Doyle's scheme? If the answer to either of those questions is maybe, or I don't know, then taking this job is a massive gamble. If the offense sputters, Sirianni isn't going to fire himself. He is going to scapegoat the new coordinator. It is a high-risk, high-reward scenario. If Doyle fixes Hurts, he is a genius and a head coaching candidate next year. If he doesn't, he is out on the street looking for a position coach job in 2027. This brings us to the biggest debate of the week, and I want to hear from every single one of you in the comments section right now. Question of the day: if you were the general manager and you could only ensure the return of one of these two coaches, Declan Doyle or Al Harris, who are you fighting harder to keep? Who is more irreplaceable to our Super Bowl window? Let me know your pick and your reasoning below. I'll be reading through the replies for the next hour. Now, let's pivot to the defensive side, because this one might hurt even more. Al Harris is a hot commodity, and frankly, he deserves to be. We are seeing reports now that the Tennessee Titans are bringing him in for an interview, which marks the third team to request his services for a defensive coordinator role. We know he has already spoken with the Packers, which would be a nightmare to see him go to a division rival. We know the Commanders are interested, and that connection makes sense given his history with Dan Quinn in Dallas. But this Titans situation is fascinating because of the dynamic with their new head coach, Robert Saleh. Saleh has already come out and said he is going to call the defensive plays in Tennessee. He learned his lesson from his time with the Jets where he tried to be the CEO type. This time, he wants control. So if you are Al Harris, do you take a defensive coordinator title where you aren't actually calling the plays? It's a fair question. Usually, you want that autonomy. You want to be the one calling the shots. But let's be real, money talks. If Tennessee offers him a significant pay raise and the title, it is hard to say no. Plus, there are only 32 of these jobs on the planet. You can't always be picky. But let's talk about why losing Al Harris would be such a blow to our defense. This isn't just about scheme, this is about development. We have 5 years of evidence now that Al Harris is a cornerback whisperer. This isn't a fluke. This isn't right place, right time. This is a pattern of elite production. Go back to his time in Dallas. Under his watch, that secondary led the NFL in interceptions with 72 over his tenure. People said, "Oh, that's just because they have talent." Okay, fine. Then he comes to Chicago, and what happens in year one? We lead the NFL in takeaways. We lead the league in interceptions. Look at the individual growth. Nash and Wright, a guy who was seen as a depth piece, had a career year under Harris. Kevin Byard came in and looked rejuvenated, leading the league in picks and playing at an all-pro level again. He got the absolute best out of Trayvon Diggs and Darren Bland in Dallas, and both of those guys regressed the moment he left the building. That tells you everything you need to know. Al Harris doesn't just coach players, he elevates them. He teaches a technique and a mindset that clearly translates to the field. He has proven he is a high-level teacher, and honestly, he is ready to be a coordinator. He has earned it. As much as I want him to stay in Chicago forever, you can't hold a guy back when he has clearly outgrown his current role. So, where does that leave us? I think the writing is on the wall for Al Harris. With 5 head coaching vacancies still open and multiple defensive coordinator spots trickling down from those hires, like the Chargers job opening up, there is just too much demand for a guy with his resume. I think he is gone. And if he leaves, that is a massive hole to fill on this coaching staff. As for Declan Doyle, I think it's 50-50. It really comes down to how much he trusts the situation in Philadelphia. If he takes the interview and gets an offer, it means he believes he can fix that offense. But if he stays, it speaks volumes about what we are building here in Chicago. I want to get a pulse check on the Al Harris news. Do you think he is as good as gone, or do we have a shot at retaining him? Type Y for yes, he's leaving, or N for no, he stays. Let's see what the consensus is. It is going to be a nerve-wracking weekend, folks. We could wake up Monday morning with 2 major vacancies on our staff, or we could dodge a bullet. We will be tracking every flight, every rumor, and every interview right here on the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out so you don't miss the breaking news when it drops. Have a fantastic weekend, and bear down.